Welcome to John Insta Sports Channel. We're going to go and do a predictions video. We haven't done one for a while. League One, week 29, and we're going straight in with Barnsley versus Burton. And this is actually a really difficult one to predict for me because I'm looking at Barnsley side, which seem to have lost its way. The last three games have been defeats. The three before that were 3 wins. Win, 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 lose, lose, lose. They just don't seem to be able to get a nice, steady performance level, do they? That the results seem to be one way or the other. And Burton, 3 wins in a row. Wigan, Rotherham and Reading, and they slaughtered my club, Rotherham, 4-2. Should have been about 5 or 6-1, really. So what do we think? Well, on paper it looks like we have to be going Burton. However, the game against Wycombe for Barnsley just showed me 2-1 defeat away. I really thought they were going to come out with a draw in that one. I really thought they were doing well. And they showed a great deal of resilience. And I just, from some of the stats, like the Stevenage stats, I just think that Barnsley are turning a corner. A little bit slowly, but they are turning a corner. And I can't help thinking that Barnsley in 9th could win this one against Burton in 21st. What are you saying? 2-2, 2-1 to Barnsley, 2-1 to Burton. I'm going to sit on the fence because I can get what people are saying. I can get what you fans are thinking from what I've heard on the internet and what comments I've got. I'm going to go Barnsley 2, Burton 2. And we'll move on to the next game, which is Stevenage versus Exeter. Now, another 12:30 game on Saturday. Stevenage don't score many, do they? 0-0, 0-0, 2-1 defeat, 1-0 win, 1-0 win. And then all of a sudden, out of the blue, we get a Wrexham win, 3-2 away from home. They can win, can't they? And they have shown, excuse me, earlier in the season that they can do it. However, they seem to have regained that because they had a bit of a long blip in the middle. Stevenage seems to have just, picked up the pace again and got back into it. Whereas Exeter, they had a period where they too did really well, and they actually went steadily up the table. And I think, they're actually getting more away from that drop zone, and they look like they're going to be nice and safe in sort of mid-table, which is probably, looking at who's at the top and all the big players in there, they'd be quite happy with. Stevenage 15th, Exeter 17th, but I've just got a feeling that they're sort of meeting each other as they sort of rebound backwards. Exeter are going downwards. Stevenage are just starting to get back into it and go back up. I can't see Stevenage losing at home against an Exeter side that have just lost their way a little bit. 6-2 defeat last time out at home against Leyton Orient. And I can't see them turning this one over. What are you saying? 2-0 to Stevenage, 1-0, 2-1. I'm going to go Stevenage 2, Exeter 1. And we'll agree with a fair few of you. Now to my side, Birmingham versus Rotherham United. And realistically, there's only one winner in this, isn't there? Win, 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 win. Draw against Wrexham. Win against Huddersfield. However, you've got to think 3 goals, 2 goals, 2 goals, 1 goal, 1 goal, 1 goal. They don't score a hell of a lot. Even when they're playing really poor sides, they don't seem to really push to get 4, 5, 6 goals. Either they're not capable, or their game plan is just to get the 3 points and go home. From what I've heard of John Morell and people like that, the Birmingham fans, it seems to be the second. It seems to be, let's just get a goal, let's get ahead, give ourselves a 2-goal gap perhaps, and then just sit on it. We'll go away with the 3 points, and that'll do us because it just keeps us on top of the table. If that's their game plan, great, it's working. They're at the top of the table. They don't lose many games, do they? And they're against the Rotherham side that Draw, win, thrashed against away at Burton 4-2. Should have been about 5 or 6-2. And then a Cambridge win where we managed to actually play football for about 25 minutes of that game. 35 minutes of the game. We were awful for the first half and for the first 60 minutes. Cambridge were just a little bit less awful, I think. And then we suddenly went 1-0 down and we decided to play football. So we can play football. However, our team is severely depleted. I think we've got over the January window. We've let 6 go as of last night. We've also got now 2 in, both midfielders. A little bit worried about the ability to put people in the team. Before Dan Gore got recruited on loan this morning, I think we could only get a full team and 4 substitutes. So we were very, very close to not meeting the 5 substitutes. So we're pretty racked for bodies, and it's our own fault for allowing players to go. Or 6 of them have gone, and now 2 come in. You know, we've got a negative equity there, don't we? So I can't see Rotherham winning it. I can't see Birmingham really getting too many goals, though. However, I think with Rotherham's recent form, biting at them, that Burton game just seemed to have take the wind out of their sails. They were doing so well in the couple of league games before that. I just think that Birmingham may be able to take a little bit of solace from that and really probably be one of the few games where they get more than 2 goals. So I'm going to have a look at you. 2-0 to Birmingham, 2-1 to Birmingham, 2-0 to Birmingham. I'm going to say Birmingham 3, Rotherham 0. And we'll quickly move on to Blackpool versus Charlton. Blackpool versus Charlton next. And Blackpool, draw, win. They just seem to have got a little bit of oomph about them recently, and they've managed to just claw their way back into some sort of performance. However, it is against Exeter that are not playing that well. The win before last, and the last win was against Lincoln City, and they're still a little bit poor. They've dropped off of late. Would I expect a good side like Blackpool to win them? Yeah, I probably would have. They're actually the 2 games where I thought that Blackpool should win, and they did. So what about Charlton? Because they've been pretty poor. They were really clinical and really technically brilliant at the beginning of the season for about a third of what's being played, and all of a sudden they start playing really quite untypically average. I'm not going to say poor. They weren't poor. They were really good, just not quite as technical as they were in the first few games. Draw, lose. In fact, thrashed against Rotherham. Rotherham should have. They played at Rotherham. Rotherham 4, Charlton 2. Should have been 6 or 7. Really should. And then they suddenly sort of, oh hell, we can't play like this. And a Bolton win 2-1. Bolton are a good side. Shrewsbury win 1-0, and Shrewsbury are starting to prove they can beat the best. They've beaten Birmingham. And Bristol Rovers win 2-0 at home. And you're starting to see a little bit more away from the score. Take the score away. They are actually playing more technical football. And I can actually say I enjoy their football. They're playing really good. It's almost like watching a championship game in a way, because they're actually quite... they're bringing back that technicality in their football. So this makes it difficult. Last 2 games for each club have been wins, both of them. So which one is going to make it a 3 in a row? I'm not sure that, because they both want to, and I just think that this is going to be a high-scoring game, and they're going to be battling it out, thinking we can't afford to lose, but we need to win. What are you saying? 2-1 to Blackpool. 1-0 to Charlton, 1-1. I'm going to go similar to what you lot are saying. I'm going to go Blackpool 2, Charlton 2. I really am going to sit on the fence on that one. It could go either way. Either way. If it goes either way, I think it could be a sort of 3-2 or a 2, possibly a 2-1. But I don't like saying 2-1. Possibly 3-2 either way. So who's next after the Blackpool game? Cambridge versus Wycombe. Cambridge played pretty okay against Rotherham. Went ahead quite deservedly, I think. They were the better team for 60 minutes, and then they suddenly decided to stay at that tempo, and Rotherham just upped their tempo and won the game. Lose, draw, win against Mansfield 3-2, and that was a really good performance from Cambridge. And Mansfield, well, they just didn't really turn up. And then Rotherham United, they lost 2-1. But they're playing a Wycombe side that are up there for a reason, aren't they? It's Cambridge in 23rd, Wycombe in 2nd. They won't want to get rid of that. Now, we thought in January that they would lose a lot of their loan players and they would be really quite poor. They've lost their manager. This is disastrous for them. It doesn't seem to have done. They actually have done quite well in the January window, and I think they have, and I think they've possibly even slightly increased their abilities on the field, and they don't seem to be in any quandary about the manager. The results: draw, lose, but it was against Huddersfield, a win against Portsmouth in the FA Cup, and Portsmouth have been improving at that point in time. Win, draw, win last time out against Barnsley. I'm sort of edging. I think that Cambridge have been improving, and I think that Cambridge may get a goal here, but I'm not quite sure because Wycombe have got an ability to get clean sheets. And Cambridge would be the side, gameplay wise, that they would be able to get a clean sheet against. What are you saying? 2-0 to Wycombe, 2-1 to Wycombe, 3-1 to Wycombe. I'm going to go Cambridge 0, Wycombe 3. Crawley Town versus Wrexham next, and Wrexham are still up there flying. They've had a bit of a rough patch. Are they looking like they can get out of it? Just a little bit word on those in a minute. We'll go to Crawley. Now, Crawley have been playing good for a little bit, for about 40-45 minutes, and then poor for the next. If they play well in the first 45 minutes, they can get ahead and then keep that, and then try and keep ahead. And sometimes they do. Other times, like when they played Exeter, it was 3-1 ahead, 4-1 ahead at half time. Exeter fans told me they all thought it was over. They wanted to go home at half time. Crawley had played brilliantly in the first 40 minutes. Then Exeter sort of picked it up just before the half time. And then in the second half, Exeter played really well. And it went from, I think, about 4-1 or 3-1 at half time to 4-4. And this is typical of the Crawley that I'm seeing, playing really well for a certain amount of time. The score and the result tends to be better if they score, if their good period is right at the beginning. They've lost, drawn. That was the Exeter game. Lost, drawn, lost, and then won last time out against Mansfield. My friend Roy, who may be on here, our subscriber from Mansfield, said they really didn't deserve to win this one. Crawley were the better side. Unfortunately for him, Crawley came out 1-0 winners away at Mansfield, and they nearly equalised Mansfield. They should have possibly equalised from what I saw, but it wasn't. It was a Crawley win. This is a side that can get results, like I say, depending on where they play well, and they will play well for a section. But they're playing Wrexham, who've been a bit up and down recently. Win, lose against Barnsley. Win, lose against Shrewsbury. Draw against Birmingham, really good draw. They played excellent. They were the better team. They pushed Birmingham, and they pushed them back, and Birmingham sat back trying to absorb the pressure, but it was constant from Wrexham. 1-1, probably a good score. Stevenage, they lost 3-2 at the end of the game, and I think Wrexham are just letting in one or two. They seem to be letting in a few lately, but they've changed their style. They used to always put 5 at the back, and then players and managers realised that the best way of beating Wrexham was actually to give them the ball, because they can make silly mistakes, silly passing errors, and if with 5 at the back and defence coming to help them, if it's going to get lost, it's going to get lost in your side's final third, and it's going to give you a good chance of getting a shot on target. And it was working. That's where they were losing their game, losing the points. I don't think they were losing games, they were drawing games, because they were giving them the ball and, oh yeah, we've got a goal, bang. So apparently, that's what I've heard from some of the managers and some of the people, the fans. We give them the ball. That's how we win them. And then of late, they stopped putting 5 at the back, and they started changing their formation, which is better football for League One, because it means that the opposition can't quite tell whether you're going to what style of formation you're going to play. Whereas before, in the first many games, everybody knew what formation they were going to play, and they could try and get over it. And certainly in the second half of the season, you could see players and teams would be able to. Now we know what happened last time. We know how to get over it this time. And if they played the 5 at the back, I think they've realised that they can't do that going forward. However, it's not quite worked for them. Doing this change in style hasn't quite worked. Have the wheels fallen off? I think they need to practice some of this change in formation a little bit more. But I think it will. The wheels will come back on. I'm almost certain they've got too much class in that style, in that side, not for the wheels. Too much class for the wheels to fall off completely. They will develop better skills at the different formations. At the beginning of the season, it was always 5 at the back. People have started to get aware of it. Win, lose, draw, lose. You can tell there's more losers in here now. Probably as many losers in the last 6 games as they had in the first 20. So what are you lot saying? 2-3. Crawley 2, Wrexham 3. Crawley 0, Wrexham 1. Crawley 1, Wrexham 1. I'm actually going to go with one, Des. I am. I'm going to go Crawley 2, Wrexham 3. I think this is going to be really close. It could even be... It could be 3-3, because Wrexham can play damn good and really pushy football. And if they put 3 at the back and 5 in the midfield, Crawley could catch them out. Because I've seen them do that, Wrexham. So let's see. Tell me what you think in the comment section. Don't dislike it. Tell me in the comment section, and we can have a decent discussion. I love having a discussion in the comment section. It gets quite good sometimes. I use the information for the next one. And if I'm wrong, I'll say it in the next video. So yeah, comment down below. Don't just dislike it. So we've said 2-3 to Wrexham. And we go next to Orient versus Stockport. And Orient versus Stockport is... Most people are going with the Orient. Obviously, they scored 6 last time out against Exeter, 6-2. Win, draw, lose, win. Orient seem to have just taken off over the last few games, 6-7 games, just got better and better. An FA Cup draw 1-1 against Derby. Yeah, absolutely brilliant result for them. And the desire to win seems to have just got better and better after that. Stockport County 1-1 against Birmingham 6 games ago. Bloody good game. Enjoyed it. They really did get the goal, just batten down then and just try and make sure Birmingham don't win. Worked. Lose. That was against Palace, so you can forget that one. And then 3 wins. Win. So both of these sides have started to play really well. Win at 3-1 against Reading, 2-0 at home to Crawley. And 1-0 away to Shrewsbury. Remember, Shrewsbury can beat anybody in this team. In this league, they've beaten Birmingham. So, they're not an easy side to knock over. I think this is going to be an Orient win. They are at home. Stockport could indeed completely go the opposite way, couldn't it? I'm going to go with whatever you say. 2-1 to Orient, 1-0 to Orient, 2-1 to Orient. Let's go. Orient 2, Stockport 1. This could be the opposite way round. And we're going to go to an interesting game next. Northampton versus Huddersfield. Now, this is interesting for me because I think Northampton can just pull out the odd really strange result. We're going to just go through this. 6 games. A draw away at Shrewsbury, who, like I said, can pull out the most strangest result. A draw 0-0 against Stevenage. Now, they don't score many, but they have been getting the odd goal and winning. A win away at Burton, and we know what Burton have been doing. In fact, after that game, Burton went on their winning run that they haven't ended yet. Lincoln City defeat there. They did a 0-0 away at Wycombe Wanderers. I mean, that's bloody good defending. And then they lost against Bolton Wanderers 3-1. But Bolton again have been starting to really get quite good, haven't they? The 3 or 4 wins that they've got in a row. So, just wrong team at the wrong time. Huddersfield, draw, win, draw, lose. Okay, it's a loss against Bolton, who have been doing really well, and it's a loss against Birmingham. They always will be difficult to win. So what do you think? 2-0 to Huddersfield, 2-1 to Huddersfield. 0-0 draw. Now I could see Northampton doing something like that, putting up the stoppers and doing same as they did at Stevenage and Wycombe. Yeah, if they do the same as they did against Wycombe against Huddersfield, which is quite possible, then it could be 0-0. I'm going to go Northampton 0, Huddersfield 2, but I've put brackets. I think it could be 0-0. So 0-0 or 2-0 to Huddersfield. But do be careful, could be 0-0. Reading versus Bolton next. That's not the only game I've done that on. Reading versus Bolton. Reading have to change, don't they? They've done so bloody well in the first half, and it's like, where's those last 5 games? They just a win against Cambridge and then draw against Charlton 0-0, lose. Well, they lost against Burnley in the FA Cup, Stockport, Orient, Burton. In a way, you can say they played the wrong teams at the wrong time. Burton, they lost 3-2 last time out, but Burton have won their last 3 or 4. Orient have won their last 3 or 4, and they play those. The game before last, 2-0 defeat. Yet Reading just seem to be in the doldrums, and they just seem to be playing the wrong team at the wrong time, don't they? And it's really difficult to judge whether they are actually improving or not, or getting back to how they were before the slump. Bolton Wanderers lose, win, draw, lose, win. They started to just get that bit between the teeth, and they started to play really well with this interim manager. And I think now that they got Schumacher, let's see whether they can push on and start to make some of those losers and draws into draws and wins. I should think they will. What are you saying? 1-1? 1-0 to Bolton, 1-0 to Bolton. Guess what? I'm going to go Reading 0, Bolton 1. And we'll go quickly on to the next game. Shrewsbury versus Mansfield. Shrewsbury versus Mansfield. This Shrewsbury in 24th versus Mansfield in 12th. So it's quite a difficult decision, this one, because I think Shrewsbury can win the most strange games. Mansfield didn't turn up last time out against Crawley. Both been doing pretty poorly of late, just having the odd amazing result. Let's go Shrewsbury. Draw, lose, win against Wrexham 2-1 at home. And then lose last time out. Both last two have been defeats 1-0. So they don't get beaten by a great deal, this team. The scores we go down 1-1, 1-1, 1-0, 2-1 win, 1-0, 1-0. They don't get beaten by a hell of a lot. Their defence, I think their fans, when we played them, said, our defence is really, really solid. We might not score many, but our defence is really good. And it is. Mansfield Town, win, lose. And the losses have been against Wigan, Wycombe, Cambridge and Crawley. They just don't seem to be... They didn't get their... I think they had 2 or 3 key players out, didn't they? Lee Gregory was out for a couple of games at least. And it does seem to have caused them a bit of a rumpus. But Lee Gregory was in for the Crawley game. Just didn't seem to get the feed to let him play up front. And I kept seeing him playing a little bit too deep. So, very difficult one, this one. Shrewsbury versus Mansfield, what are you saying? 2-1 to Shrewsbury, 1-0 to Shrewsbury, 1-1. I think this one to me sounds like a 0-0. Neither team really scoring greatly at the minute. I can see a 0-0 or a 1-1. Certainly not many goals. I'm going to go Shrewsbury 0, Mansfield 1. This is the other game that I've put 0-0 in brackets. This could be one of the most boring games out. However, Roy, what do you think? Do you think that you'll manage to get that extra goal, 1-0, 2-0? I'll be very, very interested in what you think. Wigan versus Lincoln next. We're trying to make it quick so you can actually hopefully listen to the whole lot. Wigan versus Lincoln, and Wigan have made some good signings, haven't they? They've made the best of the January window. What's their last 6 been like? 3-0 defeat at home to Birmingham. Do we count that one? So lose, win, lose, win, lose. They're not. It's a good mid-table side. However, like I say, they've got some new players in. Are they good enough to improve the quality of the present squad? I think they are. Can they get them gelled in quickly and move forward? Last time out, a loser away at Peterborough, but Peterborough can be up, can be down. At the minute, they're not playing so well, so 1-0 defeat there is actually quite poor for Wigan. Lincoln City, they played so well at the beginning, scoring really well, really easily, and then all of a sudden they just seem to have had a bit of a blip. Draw, lose, win against Northampton, slaughtered Peterborough, and then lost against Blackpool that are starting to turn a corner. The Peterborough game, 5-1 at home. They can score, absolutely. Lincoln can score, but they tend to just do the odd 1 or 2. It is a really tough game, and I've been listening to some of the other people doing predictions. It's like, oh God, what do we do with this one? 1-1, 0-0. The only person who's not sat on the fence said 2-1 to Lincoln. I'm going to sit on the fence. I'm going to Wigan 1, Lincoln 1, and we'll quickly go on to our last game, which is on Sunday. It's a Bristol Rovers versus Peterborough, and this is just a mixed bag, isn't it? Peterborough are hit and miss all the way through. They're not playing great football at the minute. I think, I don't know why, but after the Everton defeat 6 games ago, 2-0 in the FA Cup, it just seemed to hit them a bit, and I don't know why, because up to that point I'd seen a Peterborough side that could do poor games, but they, on the whole, they were doing some really good football, and they were actually playing really well. And all of a sudden, they seem to have just fallen off a cliff for some strange reason, and lose against Everton, win in the Mickey Mouse Trophy against Walsall 4-2. So down to League One, draw, lose 5-1 against away at Lincoln, and then win 1-0 at home to Wigan. A little bit up and down. I think they have turned the corner, and I think they can win this one. I think when I look at the two teams, Peterborough are the one on and up. Peterborough are the ones who seem to have took the bit between their teeth and said, nah, we're out of the cup, the FA Cup, fine, we're going to go for it. Let's see how high we can get. So Peterborough in 18th, Bristol Rovers are in 19th. Peterborough certainly don't want to be at this end of the table. They don't deserve to be at this end of the table. They have got players in there that are far better than the teams around them. But you could say that about Bristol Rovers as well. Bristol Rovers lose against Leyton Orient 3-2. Then win, lose. They're just... this team turns up or it doesn't. Cambridge United win. There's a Barnsley win in there. At home, 3-1. They turned up. They seem to turn up more at home than they do away. Although the Leyton Orient game six games ago, 3-2 defeat, but they did score 2. Bristol can turn up, and Leyton Orient are a damn good side for the last sort of 7 or 8, 9 games. So a difficult one to decide. I think Bristol are starting to just hit the bottom, and I think they should start to improve soon, but they're a bit too hit and miss for me. I think it's going to be more of a miss. What are you saying? 2-1 to Bristol Rovers, 2-1 to Peterborough, 2-1 to Peterborough. I'm going to go Bristol Rovers 1, Peterborough 2. That's my predictions for League One, week 29. So like I say, don't start complaining and giving me a dislike. I'd rather discuss it. I'd rather you give me a comment. Please just give me a comment. Let everybody discuss it in the chat. I enjoy it. I enjoy reading it. I enjoy commenting and giving my feedback again. And if I'm wrong, like I said, I'll quite likely mention it in the next review or the next prediction. So join us at Sports Channel over and out. Please do like and subscribe. See you later.